tired, another target on his mind. He did not see me creep up from behind. For one long day and one painful night, I waited to take him by surprise. He was so unaware and unafraid to die. This is how it ends. Let's just not pretend that we never walked this path alone. They will never see the likes of us again, though we may have saved a life or two. It never made us heroes, my friend. With our final breath we repair, hope to be forgiven for our sins. After all, we were two monsters dead sent to the dead.
I'll be that silver lining to the story. If you thought that I would turn and run, then y'all don't know me. May my fears rest in peace, cause that's a old me. Got this taste on my tongue, I crave the glory. Gasoline in my veins, be the fuel through my pain. Oh, as we rise from the flames. Heart of a lion, never say never. Cut like a diamond, shine under pressure. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Pound on your chest like there's no tomorrow. Just play the game right, no one can follow. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. They say the struggle is real. I say the struggle reveals how you deal with the monster that's inside you. I don't buy into the luck. I put my faith and my trust in my team. Everything that we done been through. Gasoline in my veins, be the fuel through my pain. Oh, as we rise from the flames. Heart of a lion, never say never. Cut like a diamond, shine under pressure. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Pound on your chest like there's no tomorrow. Just play the game right, no one can follow. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey, pressure. It's time to fire on up. It's time to fire on up, yeah. Pound on your chest like there's no tomorrow. Just play the game right, no one can follow. Oh, it's time to fire on up. Oh, it's time to fire on up.
Can you history calling you, calling me, written in stone upon tablets that fade away? We will remain. Oh, look what we done, the wars that we won. We rise like the sun, but don't go down. I want it all, I want it all. So long live the king, long live the empire. Yeah, I'll wear the crown till the world is burned down. I am king, this is my empire. I live for the sound as it moves through the crowd. Say it. King, king, king. Long live the kingdoms will fall to mine is the only one. Written in stars like a sign of glory to come. Glory to come. Oh, look what we've done, the wars that we won. We rise like the sun, but it won't go down. I want it all, I want it all. Long live the king, long live the empire. Yeah, I wear the crown till the world is burned down. I am king.
Yo, how is it going, everyone? Happy Saturday. Thank you for being here on this glorious Saturday with crazy weather going on in the US and I'm sure other places around the world. Matthew, thank you for being with us. Oh, why don't I hear Matthew? It's on Matthew's end, it's not my end. There we are.
Oh boy.
There we are.
Apparently I need to unmute myself.
Yeah.
I've learned something already this live stream. But thank you so much for having me. Love to see the chat. Thank you everyone for joining this weekend. I can't wait to see where the hour takes us.
Amazing. All right. And we're going to go through a couple things for housekeeping wise. While we're going through that, I just want to start it off first with, if you are new to the live stream or GynaCube in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We always love seeing the new folks here, and just want to welcome you here in the little community that we have carved here on our part of the internet. While we are doing that, also just shout out to the members of GynaCube. We appreciate everything you do. You help us do what we do here on the channel. If you see folks with the green name or the GynaCube icon next to their name, those are members of GynaCube. So big shout out to you. If you want to learn more about being a member, check out the link on the screen or hit the join button down below to learn more. No commitment required. Just big thank you for being here. Also, members, hold your questions until the halfway mark. Chatmaster C will give you the green light, and you can go ahead and put that in. And then also, for those of you that are not familiar with Matthew, hopefully he's been a friend of GynaCube and a friend of mine personally for a while. He's been here multiple times, so hopefully you do know Matthew. But if you don't, be sure to go check out his website, ssbipolar.com, and also his YouTube channel. He's putting out a lot of great videos. He's got bold plans for 2024. Matthew, you want to say more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like 5 years ago, my blog and my YouTube was flooded with Dataflow stuff. A couple years ago, it was really focused on data culture because this is what I was like working on day to day as part of my role in the Power BI Cat and now Fabric Cat team. And what I found is that for the last year or so, most of what I've been doing is people. Like I've been leading a team of 10. I'm now a manager of managers. Like it's my career path is taking me a little bit further away from the technical side. But I've also found that I've been finding a ton of pleasure being a mentor. I've got a bunch of internal and external mentees that I meet with from time to time. I was looking for a way to scale. And at the beginning of the calendar year, I began a new weekly series of videos focused on what you need to do to thrive and succeed as a PM at Microsoft. So a lot of the a lot of the advice that I wish that I'd had when I started at Microsoft 15 years ago, and a lot of the advice that I give to mentees, like who are like at various stages of their careers. I'm trying to make it accessible to everyone so that if you're a PM at Microsoft, you're in a similar role or at a similar organization, or if part of being or part of your career goals is being a PM at Microsoft, like I learned things the hard way, maybe you can learn a little bit easier. I know there's a couple folks in chat that have mentioned this already. Like listen, watch, subscribe, give me feedback. I've got great plans for the year, but it's your feedback that will keep me on track and keep me honest. Yeah. And while I've got the mic, Adam, enough about me. I want to riff back to a question that Crystal asked. So Chatmaster C asked, Matthew, are you going to be at the Fabric conference in Vegas in March? So I'm obviously excited about my side project. Like the YouTube stuff is what I do in evenings and weekends. But in March, Adam, Patrick, me, a bunch of other cats, and a cast of thousands, or at least a cast of dozens from the Fabric product team and leadership are going to be in Vegas for a full week of learning and information about Fabric today and tomorrow. I've got a pre-conference focused on building a data culture with Microsoft Fabric, essentially building on the Power BI pre-con that Melissa Coates and I have delivered a couple times over the last year and a half or so. So I'm really excited about that. And I don't think we're sharing plans about the supersized Power Hour that we're planning. So I'm not going to say anything about that, but really excited. And I see that Adam has wrangled up a discount code.
Yes.
So I'll let him say something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to the Fabric Community Conference. Hope everyone can join us there. It's the place to be. We do have a discount code if you do want to register and use that. It's Cube100. It'll get you $100 off. So we really want to see you in Vegas. And I know Chatmaster C is excited now because she wants to meet Matthew in person. So that's apparently going to happen now. So, or so I was told in chat. So, but yeah, absolutely.
So one of the other things, like I'm going to overshare here as well.
All right.
For any Microsoft person that's there, even if you're speaking, even if you're delivering a pre-con, they basically have a deal where to justify the travel budget, you need to sign up for all of this extra crap. Like, are you going to work the booth? Are you going to do customer meetings? I've raised my hand to say that I want to hang out in the community lounge. Again, don't know all the details, but I'm hoping that when I'm not on stage, when I'm not involved with one of these sessions that I'm delivering, that I'll have the opportunity to sit down, to meet, to chat, the type of conversations that we would have here, but
yes,
like more awkward.
Yeah, and possibly with candy and other things. Who knows? I plan on being outside of speaking either at the Ask the Experts area or the community zone. So that's where you'll find me. And then going back to the chat, so Chris Wagner, Kratos BI, member for 45 months. Thank you, sir. You've been a welcome friend to the channel as well. He said, if you're coming to Microsoft Fabric Community Conference, make sure you check out his session on embedded Power BI. So lots of MVPs will be there as well. I'm very excited. Also, lots of MVP buzz this week. So congrats on all the new MVPs and the continuing MVPs. Alex Powers also in the chat. It's not about a cell. 46 months. Great friend to the channel and personally in life. He said, can it be SQL Saturday Atlanta already? I want to be down in the South where it's warm. Are you looking at me, Alex? Also excited to deliver Data Factory in a day. So yeah, if you're in the Atlanta area, go check that out. All right. I think we paid the bills. So I do want to go back real quick because I asked people to put hashtag new, and there was a lot of chat going on after I did that. So I've got to go back. So let's see. The first one I see is Peter Beckett is new. Welcome. Glad you're here. Let's see if I see any others. That's the only one I'm seeing. Oh no. Cool Dip Pandy is new. Welcome. And that is, I think, it. That's all I'm seeing. Okay, so welcome both of you. Glad you're here. Hope you return and hope you find value in what we're going to talk about. All right, questions. We have rules. I like rules. Please put Q: in front of the question. Chatmaster C is standing by to get them in the queue. One time is all you need. We don't get to all the questions, so if we don't get to it, come back next time. If you do have a burning question and you want to make sure it gets answered, you can submit a super chat that jumps the queue during the whole stream and takes priority. If you do a super chat though, be sure, and you want to include a question with it, be sure to put the question, type in the question before you hit the button. Otherwise, just thank you for the super chat. And if you spam the question, we have a 3 strikes rule here on Guy in a Cube. Matthew will bust out his swords, and we will, yes. Which reminds me, there's a funny story sometime. If you see me at Fabric Conference, come up and ask me about how it with Git and GitHub, Git operations, you can end up with a decapitated head. That's a fun story. But we have a 3 strikes rule. Chatmaster C are one of our lovely moderators, probably except Matthew because he's engaged. We'll put you in a timeout. So please don't do that. There can get only one. Which I hear they're redoing. They're thinking about redoing the Highlander movie. So I know.
Oh, for goodness sake.
All right. With that, let's jump into the queue. Aman has a question. Been running a daily refresh of a Dataflow's Gen 2 in a Fabric trial for a while. Excellent. Yesterday I got a refresh error, auth failure, but the refresh history shows no failure, and the data is updating. Ideas? It had an existential crisis.
So I asked a follow-up question as well. Like basically it's saying like you got an error, but you didn't get an error.
Yeah.
He replied later on, he got an alert yesterday and the yellow triangle is still there in the workspace view, presumably, but the refresh still succeeded. So this is something I've never seen before. So love to see what you have to say, Adam.
Yeah, I'm like it sounds like if it's still working and still refreshing data, it sounds like maybe a bug of some kind, or like some I don't know. In the refresh history, like if it's continuing to refresh, I'm assuming you said it didn't show a failure at all, so that's an odd thing to see. So I tried editing and republish, and it still shows the message next to it. Well, and Alex, he's saying that like the refresh succeeded, like there was no. So I'm curious where you saw the auth failure though, because typically you'll only see that if it actually failed. So I'd love more info on that. I'd want more details to dig into that. Possibly if you're seeing it as a problem, like you could always open a support case to dig in. We need like the activity IDs and things like that to maybe understand more. Outside of that, I don't know. I haven't seen that personally. I have run into some oddities in the past with Dataflow's Gen 2, and I had some auth issues, but those seem to be cleared up now. It was before the holidays. I was seeing a lot of that. I know Alex was seeing that too, but I'm not seeing that currently. It's the little message attached.
So since Adam didn't basically say, it's like, oh, I've seen this, here's the answer. Like there's two specific actions that I would recommend. The first one is like Google or use your favorite search engine to look for the specific auth message. See if there is information that's available out there on other causes for this specific error message that are relevant to your situation. Like use that as your starting point, which is kind of standard modern day troubleshooting. The second thing that I would recommend is share a full description. Like, this is where I look. This is the specific message. This is how it shows up. Like, this is what's changed over time. Share that on the Fabric community forums, where there are both Microsoft and non-Microsoft people that can look at the details. And even if they can't solve your problem, they might point you in the right direction. Like opening a support ticket, that's great. But these might be things little lighter weight that could get you closer to a solution as well.
Yep, absolutely. I love all of those suggestions. And I saw Data Blender, also Data Blender, thank you for becoming a new member. But Data Blender mentioned that they were getting auth issues before the holidays as well, but it cleared up lately. There was a known issue that was going on. And so it looks like that cleared up. So excellent for that.
And there's an important super chat from Chris Wagner as well.
Yes. And Chris oh my gosh, I can't speak this morning. Mr. Chris Wagner coming in. So he said, hey, Adam, remember to order Chatmaster C flowers for Valentine's Day. I appreciate that, although I think the reminder is a little bit early. So I may need it again. I will do my best. Nay.
It's going to cost you $30 next month.
I will succeed. So, all right. EWA's got a two-parter question here. First one, trying composite model, publish semantic model plus one more fact table import. All dims in publish model, some X on the new fact table, new fact price minus price in the model. Okay. Let's see. Part 2 does not work correctly on subtotals. Tested measure works correctly when new fact is added to the basic model. It's not composite. If some X cannot be used, what else should I try? So the thing I'm going to latch onto here is the fact that you mentioned it's a subtotals thing. So the thing to be careful about with measures and subtotals is you need to account for the totals areas. And so you can run into oddities there. So sometimes you may end up having to do a check to make sure you're not on a detail line, you're in the subtotals, and then handle the equation that way. So hopefully that gives you a pointer. I know we've seen it before. I'm actually going to go back to, I'm going to put something on Patrick's wall or the box that Kevin gave him when he gets back to say, you need to do a video on that. I don't know if we did a video on it already, but it's come up a little bit, and so it's good to get some content out there on how to handle that situation. So I'm going to go with that. Let us know if that doesn't help you, and we'll see where to go from there. So all right, so we have some activity. So RK Tech did a super chat with a question in there. Jump in the queue. I love it. We'll get to that in a second. Wyatt, thank you, sir. 10 gifted memberships to some folks in the chat. So appreciate that. New members, Nunn, Sheila, Van Lessing, Tron, Hachi, Jeff, Harry, Matt, Hey, Prachi, welcome to being members of Guy in a Cube. Very much appreciated, Wyatt. Thank you so much. All right, let's go to RK Tech's super chat a question. Thank you for the super chat. So it's two-parter. Running simple SQL query, summing with group by with 3 to 4 joins, star schema, giving 2 different results when running multiple times in Management Studio, including new session. So I already have a question at first is, what
Is
are we
the
doing now?
data changing?
Yeah. So that's first one. So let's look at the second part. Data is stored in Parquet format in ADLS Gen 2 shortcut. Same problem running query in Fabric UI. This problem doesn't exist in running the same query straight in the Synapse UI. Wait a second. Is there a bug? I'm a little confused about Fabric UI versus Synapse UI.
Right. So I'm gonna paraphrase here. Like, an RK Tech is gonna keep me honest if I'm reading the story wrong. So basically, the data in it is in ADLS Gen 2, and he's connecting to it through shortcuts. He's running SQL queries both from the browser-based SQL query editor in Fabric and through SQL Server Management Studio, which he's connected to the SQL endpoint in Fabric. So he's got the two user experiences where he's running the query and is running into the error where it's going through the shortcut, and he's not seeing it when he's using the Azure Synapse Gen 2 pass service to connect to the same data through that. And he's saying, yes, that's in there. Like the thing, like the obvious variable between works the way that you expect and doesn't work is the shortcut. So I'm wondering for Adam, like Adam disappeared as soon as I was getting ready to punch this over to him. Like now that we have narrowed down the scope to the shortcut, like what do you think? Is there anything about the shortcut in Fabric that could reflect that? Like is any of the caching or other functionality?
I mean, caching is always something that could potentially come into play. He said that they said that we're seeing the same behavior in the Fabric UI as we do for Management Studio. My other questions on this is, when we're going through the TDS endpoint, have we done anything in terms of row level security or other things that may be coming into play as well? There's nothing specifically with the shortcut that's coming to mind outside of, did the data change? And the caching may be different than, it's going down different paths from that sense. But honestly, that would be the same that I would have if it was just straight Azure database, SQL database as well. Yeah. So I'm not aware of anything off the top of my head. I've been watching the chat. Mark Price Mayer's here as well. He didn't comment anything. He's on the act. He's one of the PMs for the warehouse team. So, I would say open up a support cut or a support case. Yeah.
That's where I'm going to.
Yeah. So it's an oddity. I'm sure it can be explained. It's just a question of what's actually happening there. We need the challenge is we need to dig in more from a diagnostic perspective, and there's only so much we can do here in that type of environment. So, but yeah, there's nothing that stands out off the top of my head. So, good luck. Let us know. I'd love to know what the outcome of that is. So. All right, Big John has a question. Is there another way to do object level security without tabular editor? I want to say it depends, but it's not really from a Power BI side. Well, actually, it is and it depends. But go ahead, Matthew.
So tabular editor is one of a variety of community or open source tools that you can use to programmatically set object level security in the data set. It is probably the best one, the easiest one, the most widely used one. It's not the only one, but if we read the question as, is there an existing Microsoft supplied way to do this? Like through Power BI Desktop, for example, I think the answer is still no, isn't it, Adam?
It's not through Power BI Desktop. So Power BI Desktop is a no. However, Benny is also going kind of where. So there is a supplied Microsoft tool that you can use to do this. It is called Notepad. where you can write that. Yeah. So Benny said, Jordan is just write a code directly against the XMLA endpoint, Notepad++ for the win, but I'm going to keep it Microsoft specific instead of external tools, right? So just go with Notepad. It's the champ. And so I mean, you can handwrite the code and issue it against the XMLA endpoint. So also you can use Management Studio and issue that against the endpoint as well. So I hear Management Studio is a Microsoft tool.
But what I get, like when I get to the bottom of it, and Big John will keep me honest in chat, he basically wants to know, is there an easy way to do this without needing to write code?
No.
And the answer is still no today.
No. Now, so I'm thinking, I'm also pivoting a little bit, which is not your direct question, Big John, but there are conversations that come up from a Fabric perspective of, the thing I hear a lot, and I did a video on this as well, but a lot of people are like, when's one security coming out for Fabric? And it's not out today. And, that must mean Fabric is not secure. Well, it is secure. There are different approaches you can take from a security perspective, from a layering. Workspace access is one of them, but also on the TDS endpoints for Lakehouse and Warehouse, you can apply row level security and object level security directly against the endpoints as well from a T-SQL from a SQL perspective. So that's a way to do it too. And then obviously, if we're doing Direct Lake or something like that, or if we're going against the TDS endpoints from a Power BI perspective, that would be honored. So it's not Power BI specifically, which is what your question was, but I'll throw that out there as well. So, all right. Best of luck, Big John. Okay, where are we at? How are we doing? All right, we still got time. Samuel, what is the best way to append static Excel historical files to data coming from a SQL Server table with similar schema without breaking query folding? Note, no write access to the database. Ooh. Would you like to take a stab?
I'm going to jump on. I'm going to jump on a stab. That's very clever. So this is, as a brief aside, Adam insists that I use the good mic because he's an audiophile.
I am.
If I was using the crappy mic in my headset, I could move around with swords during these calls. So this one's on Adam. No stabbing today. But the thing that I would look at for this scenario, Samuel, is where is the intermediary place where you can drop this data? Implied in your question is that if you are building a query that pulls in data from both the SQL table and the Excel files that have the similar schema, it's breaking query folding or possibly introducing other types of problems along the way. This really feels like a great place for either having a data flow that is the destination for one or both or each of those data sources, and then the refresh where you need the data from both is pulling from that one location. It may be that you look at the query that is pulling in from both and find out where the query folding is breaking, because doing an append may very well work. To me, I believe that I have seen this scenario work with a single query. The problem, of course, if you have a single query that is pulling from both of these sources, SQL is going to be really fast. Excel files are really going to be awful. If you find a place, Dataflows could be it, or in Azure SQL DB, or the Lakehouse or Warehouse in Fabric could be another. Find a place to do a refresh of those historical Excel files, even if you don't have write access to that database. Find a place that doesn't suck, because Excel does suck as a data source. Get that historical data in there so that on your more frequent refreshes, you can be pulling from a faster, more capable source rather than from the Excel files where the data is today.
Excellent. I will say, never mind. I was going to do a demo, but then I reread it and it was append, not like a filter. So,
and Samuel also mentioned that he needs to implement incremental refresh of the merged output. Like this to me sounds like the scenario just got much more complicated.
Yes.
In the original question, Samuel, you say that Excel data is historical data, which to me implies that from an incremental refresh scenario, it's not changing. Like this is
Right.
part of the baseline. It's part of that initial refresh. So like this, I feel like if I go further down this path, I'm going to be making up details. So I'm just going to stop here. But that idea of having the Excel-based historical data in a different location, like that really feels like a key part of the solution to me, with the details that I can see from here.
Yes. Yeah, and especially with the incremental refresh, I will go back to Matthew's maxim of data transformation, and I dropped that in the chat as well. So if you can do it further upstream before we get to Power BI or Power Query, that would probably be a better situation. So, I appreciate the call out. I actually want to say one additional thing. One of my other favorite phrases that I haven't used in a while: technology problems are usually people problems. So you're talking about you don't have any write access to the database. Like at some point, the fact that someone is denying you the ability to put this data where it probably should go, like this is going to cause you to come up with this house of cards spaghetti code workaround that is going to cause much more problems for them than just letting you do the right thing would cause for them today. So it may be, in addition to looking at the technical solutions, keep in mind that working with that team, escalating, bringing in the right people into the conversation, this artificial constraint that's being enforced by a system owner or a DBA or some rule that was put in place before this scenario was known, you may be able to find an easier solution by getting people to understand what you're doing, rather than trying to work around rules that maybe are more flexible than they seem. Yep. All right. Excellent. Let's grab one more question. We're about to cut over into member only time. So this will probably be the last one before that. Alexandra said, what's the best way to send emails to each report user? With KPIs, information generated, queried from a Power BI dataset, Excel attached. Have you looked at like the subscription model? You can subscribe others to a report. That's it. It doesn't give you the flexibility of formatting necessarily like what's displayed, but it allows you to do that based on a time interval. So that's a way. Go ahead.
And didn't we recently update subscription capabilities to support more data-driven, like burst type delivery?
So that is true for paginated reports. I don't believe that's landed yet for Power BI reports, although it should be coming at some point. But yeah. And then,
but I'm going to put on my Chris Finland hat here, my bear hat. Like there's nothing in Alexandra's question that says that paginated reports wouldn't be an acceptable solution.
Absolutely.
So if you have that if you build a paginated report using that data set to get the information in the format that you need, even though this bulk personalized delivery for interactive reports isn't as complete as it is for paginated reports. Paginated reports are available. Like, take a look at that as, maybe the first thing you look at.
Hey, and look who's in the chat. You speak his name and he shows up.
I only said it once. I thought you had to say it 3 times.
He's that good. So, or that bored. I don't know. All right. But yeah, so the other thing, some other people brought in the chat also, like Power Automate is a option for you as well, that you can leverage some of the export capabilities and then trigger things and do emails and all that stuff. Yeah. So if you want to do a more customized email approach, that's definitely a way to go. All right, and Chris said, happy to announce Paginated Report Bear will be in Vegas at the Fabric Conference. All right. All right. I guess
the last time I saw Paginated Report Bear in Vegas, he was like covered with honey. I'm surprised they let him back.
Funny. All right. We are going now to member only chat, where members and moderators will be able to participate in the chat, but those that are not a member or moderator will not. You can still watch and learn and listen to the witty banter that Matthew and I provide. As always, we didn't get to every question in the queue. And so if you still have a burning question that we didn't get to, either one, come back next week, or two, Super Chat will jump the queue even in the member only side. So that is an option for you as well. So let me go ahead and switch it over. Let's go. All right. That is there. And then also, I will drop the link in there again if you want to learn more about being a member on the channel. That is an option for you as well. With that, we've got, so one of the benefits of being a member at the visitor or producer tiers to pre-submit questions. We don't have any that we're highlighting today. We do have a couple that were sent in that we will highlight next week. Patrick will be back next week as well. But that is one of the benefits. It gives us a little bit more time to work on them and can maybe go a little deeper with it, also with a demo. So that's always good. And no side camera today, Matthew. That's sad.
Yeah, I was looking at it in my monitor, and like I wouldn't be visible the way that you've got my main camera cropped. Just based on the way that things are set up. I didn't plan for it.
We didn't test it beforehand either, so yeah, we possibly could have accounted for it. So
no testing in no testing in production.
Yes, we'll do it live. All right, Mr. Chris Wagner had a question he asked that we get later on. It is now officially later on, and so Chatmaster C did queue it back up. So Chris asked, with Fabric, what is the recommended access and sharing for bronze, silver, and gold for a data mesh with different departments owning different areas within each layer? Whew.
I said it in chat in the moment. Thanks a lot, Chris. Like there's no easy answer to this.
It depends.
I hate that answer. Apologies to everyone that likes to see Patrick put money in jars.
It's for charity.
It's for charity.
Yeah.
Like when we think about this, like I really don't think that Fabric is a part of this variable or a part of this scenario, right? So you're looking at applying data mesh from a distributed ownership and management perspective so that the different business units maintain and are the authoritative owners for the parts of the data that make sense to you. You're also talking about overlaying this with some variation on the medallion model, where you have the bronze, silver, gold, or the raw, cooked, served data, and like most of it is going to come down to the specific scenarios, the specific departments, and at least as far as I see today, like this is really a high-level architectural planning conversation where you work with your client or your data leads work with each other across the organization to figure out the specific approaches. Don't really see a Fabric spin, other than the fact that Fabric with one lake and the ability to have that single version of the data that is exposed and shared in secure ways based on the rules that you set up, like Fabric can make this easier, but it's really about what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and there's no simple answer.
Yep, I agree. There's a lot into that. So the other thing I'll add too is that I'm still waiting to hear, as people start pushing against projects inside of Microsoft Fabric, like what are some of those practices that they're developing, as well as there are new things available, right? So that's something that's emerging. And so also, as the team is releasing updates and new capabilities that enable some of those capabilities, that will alter the patterns and or enhance the patterns as well. Yeah. So I would say the Fabric Cat team also is still continuing to push on guidance documentation, and Matthew is also working on implementation and adoption things. And Matthew and I had this conversation too about the implementation pieces, the documentation he's been working on. We're like, look, we're waiting for some of those emerging patterns to come out so we can include those. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to. You're a step ahead of me, but I do want to give a shout out to this. The customer advisory team that Adam and I are on. A lot of what we do from a day-to-day basis is to work with customers that are pushing the state of the art or working on the cutting edge or bleeding edge, doing things with, whether it's Power BI or Azure or Fabric that aren't easy to do today. Like there's some complexity, some scale, some variable that means that they need an extra hand. Our team is that hand, so we make them successful, but at the same time, we learn from those engagements to bring it back to the product team so that the next customer or the next organization that has the same type of problem, it's easy the next time, even if it was hard the last time. And the guidance documentation that Adam mentioned is the other output from these engagements, where we try to make it as easy as possible for anybody to understand what we've learned from these engagements.
Yeah.
The Power BI adoption roadmap and implementation planning guidance that I've worked on with Melissa Coates, and I hope that she is enjoying her retirement. So God bless her for getting out. Kurt Bueller and Peter Myers is basically one of the places where we're aggregating and coalescing all of that learning into these best practices patterns. So look at the Power BI implementation planning guidance that's available today. As Adam is saying, as we are seeing what these new patterns that emerge from real customers doing real things with Fabric, we're going to be evolving it to include more patterns, more usage scenarios, more guidance that includes more of Fabric and not just Power BI.
Yep. So stay tuned on that. That was a good question, I thought, or at least it prompted, I think, a good answer of the fact that we don't necessarily have an answer yet. We're waiting for emerging things. So, all right,
he needs to do the work and find the answer. So
Yeah.
you can't punt your architecture to a live stream.
Yeah. Or maybe that's a service that needs to. All right.
Data, like someone could be a consultant of some sort.
Perhaps. It's an opportunity. Okay. Let's see here. Data Blender. Any upcoming plans for paginated report builder? I think you mean Power BI report builder, or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, report builder.
Yeah, report builder. I'm not aware of upcoming plans for it. Is there something specifically you're interested in? If there is, I also will recommend. Alex is saying yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh, okay. Well, Alex said yes, so there you go. But also, I will say I don't know that the yes comment will apply to what specifically you may be interested in, Data Blender. And so I encourage you to go to the ideas site and submit that feedback. And or search in it and vote up. And then if you do, some real pro guidance here from Guy in a Cube. If you do create a new idea in the ideas site, and or if you find one that you vote up and you want it to be looked at more, please let people know about it and spread the word. Otherwise, you're doing this in a vacuum and
So you went in a slightly different direction than I thought you were going to. So I'm gonna do a different spin.
Okay.
If you are posting an idea on the ideas forum, or you're plus oneing somebody else's idea, don't just say, I want this feature. Like, that's not useful. The thing that is really useful for the product teams that are reading your feedback and looking at this on a daily or weekly basis is to help them understand, this is the problem that I have. This is the goal that I'm trying to achieve. This is why what's in the product today isn't working. Like, that's the context that they need. And if you say like, and I think that this feature is the right way to solve it, that's fantastic. but it's that context that was really vital. That's the thing that makes your idea gain traction. It's much more useful that way.
Yep. Excellent. All right. So stay tuned. Apparently there's something coming. The other thing I'll say too is I know the team has been pushing on updates in the service as well. And so I know Patrick's done a few videos on that. So that's an interesting place as well. All right. Ramesh, using data flows or using Gen 2 data flows or data flows Gen 2 to get data to a lakehouse from a database under a private endpoint passing through an enterprise gateway. Refresh does not work. Only works without lakehouse destination. That's interesting. What happens?
Yeah, what happens? Like, yeah, what's the error? What fails?
I'm on a cliff. I want to know. So it's interesting that it works. I don't know why lakehouse, like, I don't know why the destination would necessarily be change the dynamic of that. I would think it would fail regardless of the destination if it was going to fail. Alex is saying, assuming they meant warehouse, it's port 1433. You need to open it. What? Not sure what that means, Alex. Like, I understand that that's the port for TDS endpoint, but if data flows is connecting to the source through the gateway, where would they need to open 1433 and why? Because it's not on the fabric side. And gateway communication should be outbound. So I don't know what we're opening and why. Paul, this is a little different. So data flows, it's not necessarily private endpoint specifically. It's that they have a gateway that they're going through. So the gateway can potentially bypass all of that. That's an approach you can take. Now, the key thing here is, and I think maybe where Alex was going, is if you have the gateway and you're saying, oh, well, it may not be able to talk to the on-prem SQL server. Well, that would fail regardless. What he's saying is that it's only if Lakehouse is the destination. So assuming there's another destination that works, well, that would fail if we can't talk to the SQL server regardless. So it can connect to the SQL server in the private endpoint. So it's part of that network.
So I want to highlight that Alex has dropped a docs link into chat. So it could very well be that Alex is seeing something that we're missing. Like, Alex has earned my trust for his technical expertise over the years. So,
yep. We just needed context.
Take a look at what's in there. There may be something that connects the dots.
Yep. So network issues with port for when using with an on-premise data gateway, you might encounter issues with data flows, refresh process. So, but again, I would think like the thing that's triggering, I think both Matthew and I, is the fact that we said this only happens with the Lakehouse destination, which is weird. Okay, well, definitely check out this article, see if it applies. I will also look at it later. I'm not connecting the dot here, but we will. Hopefully that helps you in the journey. And thank you for.
And as you're going through those troubleshooting steps, like you've identified, can you pull the question back up for a second, Adam, if it's not too hard?
Yeah.
Like, you've identified a few significant variables. So the data source, the private endpoint, the gateway, the existence or type or presence of a destination. Like, see what are the pieces that if they're there, it works. If they're not there, it doesn't work. Like, come up with a matrix. Go through and test to understand what are the states of these different variables that are affecting the output. Like, it could be that the information in the doc that Alex shared in chat, like, this is going to give you what you need. If it doesn't, these basic troubleshooting steps, when does it work? When does it not work? This is going to be the most important step that you can take, either to solve the problem yourself or to be able to ask the right questions when you reach out to someone else for help.
Yep. And then Ramesh did add in the chat, it just errors out after 5 minutes. Again, what's the error? I don't know what the error is.
Yeah.
Like, that's potentially a pointer in a direction, or it may not be, or it could just be a generic, like, unknown failure, which is never helpful. So, all right, check out that doc that Alex dropped. Hopefully that Looks like the link is promising. Excellent. All right.
Yep.
I need to go.
Very good.
I need to go look at that because, like, what is that? Doesn't make sense to me. So, but all right. Hey has a question. Is it possible to do a financial statement matrix with custom total rows with drill through on vanilla Power BI desktop? Any good links for it? Whew. Some total rows.
It's the custom total rows that I'm stuck on. Like everything else seems straightforward. We see people doing financial statements as matrices in Power BI all the time. Drill through can be part of that as well. I'm not really sure what custom totals means in this context.
Well, so when I think about custom row totals, so this goes back to one of the questions we had earlier in the stream, where there are some things in DAX where you can determine are you in the totals or not in the totals, and potentially issue like a different statement, or from DAX perspective, like issue different a calculation of some sorts. I would caution. Yeah, absolutely. Custom total rows equals DAX. I would caution though that, like, if you're trying to do a custom total row, like, does it make sense in the context of what you're trying to report on and represent, or will that confuse users as well? So you may have gone down all of that, but I would definitely say, think about that as you're exploring that. But yeah, you're gonna have to write DAX. Again, I'm gonna get with Patrick and kind of, like, let's see if we can do a video on like having to deal with custom totals in general, or how to deal with totals, or some of the things with that. So, all right. Let's see. So None has an interesting question. And Matthew, I don't know if you've, I know about it. I know that it was announced, or like there was some announcement with it. I haven't really spent a lot of time to figure out what it is, but Fabric plus Project Sofia. This came up also. And so I'll let you go with what you know.
So this is going to be the hand waviest response of the day. So keep your expectations low. None. So I dropped a link into chat. Like, Sofia is an upcoming AI-powered business research canvas where you can ask any business question across every business domain in your organization. Like, it's a thing that Microsoft is working on. Not a lot of details that are out there, still in private preview. And it's a place where, to the best of my knowledge, nobody on the CAT team, nobody on our team is directly involved.
Nope.
But if we think about the very open-ended picture, I'm going to say yes, like solid yes, because Fabric is the future of cloud data. So Fabric is this single unified SaaS platform where all of your data can live, and all of these different workloads can live on top of it. So you've got the single source of truth, the one place to store and manage your data, and then all the other things that work on top of it. And there is a very strong AI tie-in, whether it's Copilot or other, in Fabric. So if we're working on an AI thing in Sofia and we're working on a data thing in Fabric, like, they've got to work together. So don't know what it's going to be, but if I'm wrong, I don't know, like, well, I'll put $1 in a jar, I guess.
Yeah, and yeah, everything that Matthew said, like, it's very new. I would not be surprised if there were some synergies and things that happened between them. Just don't know enough about it yet, and it's stay tuned. Okay, Rajan's got a question. Let's see here. Can I add table in semantic model using the browser if the semantic model has been converted into XMLA format? I did it using tabular editor then, but difficult in adding new tables. So the answer is no. So editing via the XMLA endpoint, so like tabular editor, all of that, will prevent you from using the modeling in the web capability today. So
didn't we just announce more capabilities around that? Like
Well, yes.
this is my first week back from a holiday. I feel like I've missed everything.
Yeah, so there was an announcement about being able to do calculation groups within the modeling and the web experience. But if you edit with the XML endpoint today, it's not going to allow you to use the modeling in the web. And the fact that you started with that direction, so that limits you from potentially taking advantage of that. I know the team is constantly looking at this and, how to improve it and make it so like calculation groups is available today. And so there's things they're looking at to improve that. I know they want that to not be a barrier, but there are some technical challenges with it that's preventing it right now. So definitely keep the feedback coming on it and signals that, this is desirable for you. So I appreciate that. But no, you're not going to be able to use the modeling in the web today. So I'm going to go back to, sorry, I'm going to pivot on the question. I think he was actually asking something else. Well, my statement still stands. If you did the XMLA, you're not going to be able to use the modeling in the web. But taking that aside, let's just say you were using the modeling in the web option and you wanted to add a table into the model. So I would go back and what does add a table mean? Because even in like Power BI desktop, the way we do that is through Power Query. And so you're not necessarily adding the table from the in terms of like the modeling view inside of Power BI desktop. So from XMLA endpoint, yes, you can set all that up, but you're defining a source, you're pulling that in. And so from the web aspect of it, you're still going to be doing things like, data flows and you're probably going to leverage like Lakehouse or Warehouse or things like that, or XMLA endpoint. And so, those are other things to think about on that front. So, all right. Are we doing on time? We're good. We're getting through the questions, Matthew. I love it. Leslie has a question. Hello, Leslie. Good to see you. For data in the same format from a different source, is there a scenario where you would replicate workspaces, reports, and data sets rather than appending all in Databricks in this case? For data in the same format from different sources.
I wonder what replicate workspaces mean. Like I'm struggling to connect the dots here, because to me replicating, I don't know.
I read that as
like is it yeah, like do you have like silos where this workspace has like the exact same crap in it, and it's going against this data source that has the same schema but different data as this other workspace that has the same crap in it that goes against the other data source, as opposed to doing a horizontal partitioning in the underlying data and having RLS or a similar mechanism to ensure that users of a given workspace go to a given thing. And Alex in chat, like his thoughts are going in the same direction that mine is. Like, is this for an ISV scenario? And I see Leslie is answering, and Damu, by crap, I mean like reports and stuff, the stuff that you have in a data set. But Leslie, is this an ISV scenario? Are you looking at having,
I will add that it's not. So she works for a government customer. So I doubt it's an ISV scenario. So she said because of the duplicated data set and report for different users, instead of using RLS to limit the records. Interesting.
And then down below, she has the main worry is that the larger volume will slow down refresh. So if we go back to that original question, like I would say that having multiple workspaces with these duplicate reports, this feels like a dodge for the actual problem that you're trying to solve. It seems like you're trying to solve around the problem rather than addressing the core thing. And that's not necessarily negative. Like that might be the right path to go, but But if you have this replication, so if you have the duplicate sets of like the same reports, the same data sets, et cetera, in multiple workspaces, the only way that I could see that not turning to bad very quickly is if there is a mature automated deployment, like you've got everything in source control, you've got a single process that pushes out updates consistently. You're basically creating for yourself a significant DevOps and data ops challenge in the long term, rather than addressing a refresh performance problem in the short term.
Yep. So she says she's getting pushback, so she's just trying to validate assumptions and thinking and effectively communicating risks. So like a question I have too is, because you mentioned, instead of using RLS, is why can't we use RLS? Like that seems like a better approach than duplicating data, or you have a single process that you're dealing with instead of managing spread. The other thing you mentioned too is that you're duplicating these within a single workspace because of multiple users. And the original question was about, do we replicate this across different workspaces? I'm like, that doesn't really change anything. You still have duplicate data sets getting the data. So yeah, that's just changing access. RLS is definitely the way I would go with it if we can, to simplify the process.
So and Leslie has put in, like, we can use RLS. It's her recommendation not to duplicate artifacts.
Absolutely.
Like, God bless you.
Yes.
You have the right
Yes.
mindset here.
Yes. We agree.
So like, obviously we're like two randos on a live stream, so we don't know all of the technical or political hurdles that you're trying to manage. But if you end up with, I'm going to pick a number at random. If you end up with 10 workspaces, each one of which has the same set of things and its own unique set of things, like users, like partitions or slices of the data and so on, forever, you need to manage the 10 things consistently all of the time. And you need to always be aware, not just from a data perspective, but from a support perspective, from a training perspective, from a communication perspective, to manage all of the unique differences of those 10 different instances of what could have been the same thing. Like, you are really, you're taking a loan that comes due with interest up the wazoo, to use a technical term. So
I love it.
Yeah. Seems like there's consensus, Leslie,
Yes.
that you are on the side of lightness and correct.
Yes.
Good stuff.
All right.
Jedi, not Sith.
Yeah, we are almost at time, but I see John Kursky's got a question that I think you will be able to comment on, Matthew. It's a question for you. Does Matthew have any recommended literature on managing people or project management?
So I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna throw two books at you, and then I'm gonna circle back to the actual question. Like, to me, the magic books are Lean Customer Development by Cindy Alvarez and the Customer Driven Playbook by Travis Loudermilk and Jessica Rich. So these are both fundamental product management and program management resources, talking about how to think about problems, how to learn from customers, how to deliver what your customers need rather than what they ask for. Like, because as a product owner, if a customer says to you, it's like, all I need is this one feature, if you ship that feature, you failed, because they always then, I just need this one more, or these two more, or these three more. Like, it's a whack-a-mole. These books provide the best practices for solving that sort of thing. And when we get back to project management, like, I haven't really been in a project management role for 20 years or more. So I've got a little bit of muscle memory left, but it's all like the instinctual stuff that I do. And for the most part, I'm successful, but I go out of my way to not solve real project management problems. And then from a people management perspective, like, I am as bewildered as anyone that I am a people manager. I'm constantly learning, but I've never found any one source. So there are a couple, like I saw someone mention Leaders Eat Last and Dare to Lead. Like I have read and enjoyed both of these books. I haven't read either one of them recently. I love Brené Brown's voice. So she's got this really informed, really mature perspective that I get a lot of value from. I will say, sort of wrapping things down, I did a blog post, and hey, Alex, if you could go to my blog post and search on expertise, like I did a blog post a year or two ago sharing my thoughts on building expertise, like not just learning a thing, but actually being really good at a thing. And I haven't read it in a while. So we'll see where, we'll see if my memory of the blog post aligns with what I wrote back in the day. But essentially, if you want to be really good at things, if you actually want to be an expert, you need to be mindful in your practice. You need to seek out sources, like find a bunch of books. You're asking, so this is a great source. So find books, find podcasts, find blogs, find thank you so much, Alex. Find voices to listen from, and then you pick and choose what advice works for you. Find leaders, like find a manager that you see doing a good job, and reach out to them saying, it's like, I'd like to learn from you. Like, can I be your mentee? You need to take that step. And even if they say no, like even if they can't take on that additional relationship, pay attention, learn mindfully, do the things that you've seen and learn, and then iterate based on like what works, what doesn't work. Because when you get into technology is easy. When you get into people are complicated and unpredictable and hard.
Emotions.
So it's this constant dance.
Yes. Yep. Love it. Excellent. All right. I don't know, Alex, on your thing. Nazamutin, thank you for the super sticker. Very much appreciated. And with that, we are going to wrap up. Matthew, I did not prep you for this, but any closing words of wisdom?
Come to Vegas. I haven't been more excited about a conference in years than I am about the Fabric conference in Vegas. Like for me personally, having a chance to connect with the community, like we're all isolated, or at least I'm isolated these days. Everything is online. We have the opportunity to bring in leaders from Microsoft, leaders from the community, and a whole bunch of customers from around the world to look at the current and future state of where we're going. Like if you've talked with me before, you know how passionate I am about organizational adoption and data culture and organizational maturity. The fact that I have the opportunity to bring a refreshed for Fabric version of this adoption pre-conference to Vegas, I hope that it's a full room. Send your boss, send the people responsible for your data strategy. Like this is the thing. And then beyond that, like just stay engaged. Like this, love these. Love the opportunity to join on the camera, but the community engagement is the thing that keeps me going.
Excellent. Love it. I concur. I love meeting community face to face. So I'm excited about Fabric Conference as well. All right, everyone, that will wrap it up for this Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. Matthew, thank you as always for joining. It is always a pleasure. And we will see you all on the internets, and we'll see you next Saturday on next Saturday's live stream. Thank you, everyone.
Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Trying hard to keeping up with the Joneses. Everything is kind of trouble and purpose. And you're lying in a bed of roses. I never dreamed of getting in the action. Life moves with all the surprises. I never dared to feel the good reaction. It comes down to this. You're gonna be a tough act to follow. And you better believe it. Just take